Hello BSU students, Instructor Pamela here. I would like to review some inpatient coding information based off of the reflection responses and summaries. First off, as an inpatient coder, you will be coding the emitting and principal diagnosis or diagnoses, and keep in mind that there does not have to be a surgery performed unless needed. Keep in mind that x-rays, different types of blood work being ran, different blood panels, those are charged from the actual departments themselves. So unless an actual surgery was performed that matches your principal and emitting diagnosis, you would not code any volume 3 codes, which is your inpatient surgery codes. Also, all inpatient coding is completed and submitted for reimbursement on the UB04. Also keep in mind that you will be inputting the codes into a computer program. So the actual Excel spreadsheets that you're working on right now to input your codes, that is not a universal chart. That is created by BSU and then implemented for you to put your answers. So do not get asphyxiated on the type of different charts and documents that you will be working with, because you'll see different ones as you move through your career. So back to inputting codes into a program. You will also be using an encoder. An encoder basically takes place of using your coding books. So instead of looking for the word pneumonia, you will type in pneumonia, and then the program or the encoder will provide the different codes for pneumonia. And if you had to code a pneumonia synthesis because that was the procedure that needed to be performed because the patient has pneumonia, then you would type in pneumonia synthesis, and then the encoder will again bring up the pneumonia synthesis code options. So when you get to your job and in your career, you're going to be very stable. You're going to know what you're going to be doing because you actually applied for the job. It's not going to be a surprise when you go for interviews because you applied for it. For example, if you apply for an outpatient surgery coding position, you know that you'll be using always your volume 1 codes because you always need a diagnosis or diagnoses for every single claim. And then you'll be utilizing the CPT book, the surgery section, which is codes 10,000 to 6999. So keep in mind, you code for the department that you work for or for the facility that you work for. If you do not code for radiology, you do not code radiology codes. If you are not coding for laboratory, you do not code laboratory codes. So the key thing is to always ask yourself, moving forward with your assignments, who am I coding for? Always remember that your diagnoses needs to be on every single claim from here on out, whether if you're an inpatient or outpatient coder. Since this is inpatient coding, we are focusing on inpatient coding, guidelines, and how the surgeries are actually billed and reimbursed. Your diagnoses are basically grouped into DRGs, or diagnosis related group. So the higher the DRG rate, the higher the reimbursement will be. Remember, your guidelines in the front of your books tell you how to code verbatim. If you follow the instructions in your guidelines, you will never go wrong. And furthermore, when you take your exams, it is process of elimination approach. Therefore, you basically read your first line and last line and match your answers in A, B, C, and D in order to the actual question, and then there's your answer. So really, process of elimination is picking A, B, C, or D, and never leave a question blank, and always follow your guidelines, and there's your answers, and make sure it is in order, meaning that the diagnoses are lined out exactly in your answers. Hypertension, diabetes, congestion, heart failure. That's how your codes should be. Thank you very much, BS.